The Big 12 Experience Game 1 Reaction Show edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with that promo code TCESGPN to get a 50% deposit up to $1,000. That is the Underdog Fantasy promo code TCESGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start getting down on your college football, NFL, and college hoops. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That is esportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM today. Welcome, everybody, into the Big 12 College Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. I know we got a football backdrop, Rush, but we are talking Big 12 basketball, best league in the land. Solid showing for the most part outside of one team, maybe two teams, actually. We'll talk about it. We'll recap each game, give our initial thoughts. Big 12 teams have some big games on deck here on Friday and Saturday, so just look at the league as a whole. But first, we got to introduce ourselves, Rush. I am Moneyline Mac, aka the former video coordinator for Bob Huggins and Frank Martin. Joining me, this guy, his football team still rolling because he was born in Provo, Utah, family names Iowa, lives in Morgantown, West Virginia, co-host of the Ryan and Rush show, Rambling Rush. What's going on, brother?
Hey, greatest time of the year. November hits and you're doing double duty with football and basketball. So, hey, love both sports, absolutely, and it's great to cover both of them. There's not enough TV screens in the world to figure this out, on top of an interesting presidential election yesterday too. Mind was going everywhere, but hey, it's a great time, man. I'm so excited for the return of good old Big 12 basketball.
Absolutely. And shout out to our guy Troy in the chat. He is in DC. He's en route to downtown to take in a little Caps game. So Rush and I holding down the fort here. Rush, let's get into basketball real in a second. So yeah, you mentioned it. You got the election going on last night. You got basketball starting on Monday. You got football. You got Maction. They also released the initial college football playoff rankings. I don't know if you saw this. BYU comes in at 9. But ends up being the 4 seed. And what we got? Iowa State 17, Kansas State 19. That's it for the Big 12. What's your thoughts on BYU's ranking? I thought they got screwed, man.
They did, but
I
don't understand that either. Of course, the SEC bias. At least they were smart enough to put them ahead of Notre Dame. So that's on, I guess, one side of it there. I'm shocked that Notre Dame is even should be in this thing, losing to NIU. That should automatically disqualify them. But hey, they got another loss in them. They'll figure that out. But I think after the Iowa State and Kansas State losses this past weekend, I think BYU's going to be the only Big 12 team to make it to the college football playoff. Of course, if they hold on here, big game this week with the Holy War coming up, and then they got Kansas after that, and then I think it's Arizona State, Houston, but you got to win that Big 12 championship still. I think the only way in the world that Big 12 sneaks in 2 teams if BYU goes undefeated until that conference championship, and then they get picked off, which I'm curious how that would turn out. The disappointing thing in all of it is that these rankings will sort themselves out as time goes on. But the fact that they are still letting Notre Dame get by with this loss to an NIU team is just, it's atrocious. And it's going to keep it, in a scenario where BYU goes undefeated and then potentially loses a conference championship game, which it shouldn't hurt them because Notre Dame doesn't even play in a conference championship. If that ends up hurting them and they still keep Notre Dame over, that's disgusting. So, yeah. But hey, BYU in a lot better shape than they thought they would ever be going into the season. Just got to keep it rolling. Big one Saturday, like I was saying.
And Rush, I mean, we love Cignetti and what he's doing at Indiana, but there's no way that Indiana. I'd throw that one in there. I said Tennessee
Sure.
because Tennessee's got a loss. Tennessee should not be above BYU. That's a fucking joke. They have a loss at Arkansas, and BYU is not lost a game, and they have actual quality wins. They won at SMU, and how Notre Dame is above SMU and Boise State is beyond me. I mean, like you said, the games have to matter. The Northern Illinois is the worst Power 5 loss so far for one of the Power 5 programs, and they're just completely ignoring it for Notre Dame because of the brand and name recognition. So, yeah, it is what it is. BYU will control their destiny. Hopefully, BYU wins out, goes 12-0, and then loses in the title game to K-State or Iowa State, and then they would get 2 teams in because if BYU goes 12-0, Rusher, they're in.
They have to be.
Yeah, they no doubt. So, yeah, I just wanted your thoughts on it. I mean, the rest of it made sense. I feel bad for Boise. I mean, they've I know that they're probably going to win out, but just in case if they don't, I mean, for them to already be seated below Notre Dame and Alabama, like what the fuck are we talking about? Their only loss is at Oregon in a game that was a one-possession game the entire way, and they've drilled everybody else. But hey, it is what it is. Let's talk hoops now, Rush.
Let's do it.
First up, though, we need you guys. College basketball is back, so subscribe to the College Basketball Experience. Rush will be making appearances on there on the pregame show this season as well, and the pregame show starts in 45 minutes. So you got me for 3 shows tonight, everybody. Hope you're ready to tune into my voice. So get on over there and subscribe to the College Basketball Experience and subscribe to the Big 12 Experience as well, because we're part of the College Experience. Help us help you. We want to keep bringing you guys more and more content. The only way to do so is liking, subscribing, and telling a friend, man. It really goes a long way with the algorithm. So help us help you and get on over there to leave a 5-star rating today to prevent corporate gambling. I can't even say gambling from winning today. All right, Rush. Let's talk Big 12. I'm going to just run through the openers here. The headline. Let's dive into the one game that really put your antennas up. Baylor got absolutely embarrassed out west in Spokane. I know they have a bunch of transfers with Roach and O'Meara, and they're young with Edgecombe. I know he had the great dunk. Are you a little concerned with Baylor's defense, though? I mean, that was the big knock on him last year, and to give up basically 100 give up 100 again, that was bad.
Yeah, that's not good. I will say this, though, is to have a loss like this, better to get it out of your system now and learn from it and so that you can move forward. I do think hopefully for Baylor that this is that type of wake-up call and being like, guys, we do need to get stuff together going on defense. But you also have to give it up to Gonzaga too. I mean, Mark Few runs an incredible program. They're always in it year in and year out. And I mean, sometimes you got to just tip your hat off to the other team because they absolutely dominated. I think it was more than just Baylor's defense. I think it was just an absolute, Gonzaga just being clearly the better team in this. And obviously our concern is our West Virginia Mountaineers have to play Gonzaga in the Bahamas later this month. So we'll see how that one turns out, of course. But what's interesting about this matchup and these teams, if we look at them kind of historically, you can find exceptions to every rule. That I have more faith in Baylor kind of going through a struggle like this, or and being able to correct itself and move forward. There was a reason Scott Drew decided to stick around and not take the Kentucky job. And I could, on the reverse end, I could see a Gonzaga fizzling out as they do. And I'm not talking like fizzling. I mean, they'll make the tournament. They'll be a good team, but we always see them at what seems like to come up short. So while we do have these data point sets, because I guess we're still in election mode, right? I can see them eventually crossing over as the season goes on, because Scott Drew's the man. He'll get his guys together. They'll be just fine coming into Big 12 play. And sometimes getting smacked in the mouth right away, especially riding high onto the season, is one of the best things that can happen to you. So they'll be all right. They do have to get the defense together, like you were saying, but that game was more than just defense. Gonzaga they just handled the whole game all the way across the board.
100%. Gonzaga looked really good. It reminds me of Baylor getting absolutely undressed by Marquette 2 years ago in the non-con. And 3 days later, they go beat, ironically, Gonzaga at the Pentagon. Scott Drew will get it fixed, and we'll find out Saturday when they take on the Razorbacks. Rush, I'm going to just run through. So Baylor was the only loss. The Big 12 won 15-1. Strength of schedule is not the sexiest thing. The Big 12 HBCU challenge did not go well for the HBCUs because, my God, Kansas rolls Howard 87-57. Houston rolls Jackson State 97-40. Iowa State drills Mississippi Valley 83-44. We had Cincinnati 109-54 over Pine Bluff. We had TCU absolutely killing Florida A&M 105-59. You had Utah killing Alcorn 100-59. And then last night we had Texas Tech beating Bethune-Cookman 94-61. And basically everybody just completely drilled these HBCUs to no surprise. K-State rolled over New Orleans 89-65. BYU 88-50 in Kevin Young's inaugural game over Central Arkansas 88-50. Colorado pulled away from EW on Monday night 76-56. Oklahoma State a little shaky, but pulls away from Green Bay 89-76.
Doug Gottlieb.
I know. Our Mountaineers 87-59 over Bob Morris. And then Arizona drills Canisius 93-64. Basically, all these games went chalk for the most part. I know Arizona State played with their food a little bit. They pulled away from Idaho State 55-48. Any thoughts before we touch on UCF, who had the win of the week for the Big 12?
No, I mean, from real quickly, the West Virginia side of things, obviously a new era there with DeVries. It was good to see them came out fast, came out quick. I think they were up like 30-3 to start the game there. So looking forward to seeing how that team settles in. Of course, you always worry about, the bye games and the epitome of brutality is it's called, but everyone took care of business and handled it. And that's all you can do this part of the season. Good warm-up games. You can't take too much out of this one way or another. Like, I'm even to the point where you can't take too much out of the as we were saying earlier, the Baylor Gonzaga game. I know the score gets you concerned a little bit, but dude, it's so early in the season right now. Is you just want to show that your team's able to, go through the motions, that they look good, guys, don't get hurt. And, you start getting ready for these bigger non-con games and these Thanksgiving type tournaments. Cause we have some big games later this weekend in the Big 12. So nothing of too concerned, nothing of too note there. Can't take too much of it. Can't take too little of it. You just take care of business and move on. And that's what it was.
Well said. And let's talk about the team that had the big win. The UCF very, very shiny Knights got the marquee win for the Big 12. Big bragging rights game. So Ken Pom did flip the Big 12 over to the top-rated basketball conference over the SEC in large part due to this game. A&M, one of the more experienced teams in the country, they had a 10-point lead. UCF without Sellers, shorthanded. Dude, Rush, what a fucking win for Johnny Dawkins, shorthanded over a top 15 team. What's your thoughts on these Knights, man? I know we liked them in the preseason.
Dude, I love them in the preseason. Watch out. This is going to be that team in the Big 12 where, they're probably not going to get in the top 10 ratings. Maybe they do pretty well. They can find themselves somewhere between 15 and 20 this season. The problem is as we know, the football and basketball Big 12 tends to beat itself up. So, but I'll tell you what is, you have a grinded out game, say out in Arizona or Utah or somewhere in the Midwest. And then you got a short turnaround and got to go play Monday or Tuesday out in the Bounce House in, Orlando or the Bounce Arena, whatever they call their basketball stadium. You're not going to want to do it. This is UCF. We thought them coming to the Big 12 was going to be there to elevate their football brand and get them on par. It's really done the opposite. It's elevated their basketball brand. Like
crazy.
And watch out, man. There were a lot of questions that we had with Dawkins, last season, and curious if he was the guy or was going to kind of be a holdover guy till you could get someone more solid there. Absolutely wrong there. UCF, we like we just said with Baylor, though, and Gonzaga, you got to be careful. It's still early in the season, of course.
Yeah.
Things can flip around. But what a win. Fantastic win. And hey, it's the rest of the Big 12 is on alert with UCF. You're not going to can't sleepwalk with them.
They're no slouch, dude, at home. That's a tough place to go get a win at. That's another thing. I mean, that crowd, the court storm, first court storm of the year, bounce house, baby, bounce. And shout out to Ryan Hasty. Texas A&M UCF held them without a field goal the last 5 minutes. So they really sat down, guarded, and grinded that thing out. So shout out to the Knights. Rush, we'll look at this upcoming weekend. Just touch on a couple of headlines heading in the weekend. I know we can't give out picks yet because the lines aren't out. But big weekend for the Big 12. Best part about college basketball, man, is, dude, they hit you with games right away. This weekend is loaded, and then you got Feast Week coming up in a week or so, and then you got the challenges in early December. Next thing you know, you're in conference play, and boom, we all know about the Big 12. So Underdog Fantasy is a proud sponsor of the Big 12 experience. So get on over there. We will give out our Underdog entry. Our guy Troy tuning in the chat. Troy, if you got an Underdog play, put it in the chat for if you got a hockey. I know he loves to throw a couple higher half a goal. So Troy, throw something in the chat. Yeah, I know. Throw something in the chat if you can. Him and Cap have been killing it on the pregame shows with me. So get on over there to Underdog Fantasy and use that promo code right above my head, TCE SGPN. They got the best odds out there too. And they will give you a special pick first-time deposit offer up to $1,000. Underdog Fantasy, promo code TCESGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm, SGPN's proud sponsor. The models are great over there at College Hoops. I'm off to a good start, 36-30 night one. And then last night I went 5-3. So 2 winning nights. We'll see if my model keeps rolling along. A nice little 55%er back-to-back nights. Get on over there. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That is the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And we're also brought to you by BetUS. BetUS, the best in the business, been around forever, easily. Cryptocurrencies, I don't know if you guys know this, the old Bitcoins make a little run here. So get on over there and buy some crypto while you're over there. And then you can also use your crypto to get down on some action over there at BetUS. Tonight, I like Auburn laying the points against Vermont. That was one of my ones I gave out last night. Like Boise laying the points. And then I also liked, oh God, what was the other one? When it comes to mind, I'll say it. But anyway, get on over there, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That is the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Promo code SGPN so they know we sent you. All righty, Rush. So loaded slate here, pulling it back up. My dude, by the way, everybody, yes, I like Western Illinois. And go check out my graphic on Twitter that I put out with all my picks. So, KenPom, make sure you guys get your subscriptions today. He's the absolute best. So, Rush, on Friday night in the Big 12, the headline, actually, this game is out. Kansas is laying 7 against North Carolina in the Fog. So that's the one line that is out. The rest of the teams in action on that night, you got Texas Tech. They're playing Northwestern State, so that's not a very good game. Cincinnati against Morehead State. Rush's BYU Cougars in action Friday night against UC Riverside. They're a quality team quietly. TCU against Gulf Coast. UCF has a tricky one against a veteran Fort Wayne team. We also have Colorado against Northern Colorado. We got Arizona State against a really good Santa Clara team. Watch out, Sun Devils. And then our Mountaineers take on the Minutemen. Rush, just your thoughts headed into that? I mean, the Mountaineer game is tricky. The Arizona State game is tricky. The UCF game is tricky. And then, of course, the game at the Fog is the headline.
Yeah, your former employer coming to Morgantown to take on your other former employer. So it's
Yeah.
it's the Mac Bowl there. Yeah, West Virginia. We'll do the pregame show on the Ryan and Rush on Friday. Hey, that's gonna be their first real test for them. We know that West Virginia is a little bit undersized. We know that Frank Martin likes to grind it out and play some good old school basketball. So really curious the test that West Virginia will face there, and we'll see uh how what's the term, I guess, how fast, how capable our skill guys are, and our ability to shoot the three, because hey, it worked great against Robert Morris. Now can that translate into a Frank Martin team? The UNC KU game, a rematch of a national championship a few years
Yeah.
ago. Something I got to say about Kansas, I'll even, I guess it's the same with UNC too. I really respect that Kansas is always willing to play big teams right away. And I think that's kind of been an issue. We saw it in football too, but I think we saw it in basketball for a while as well. We'd always kind of have these types of buy games for a bit, and then when we started getting to the Thanksgiving tournaments, that's when these games would kind of get more meaningful and the competition being a lot better. But hey, that's it doesn't get any more classic than that showdown right now. I would say my early lean, and this isn't Big 12 bias, I mean it's Kansas at the Fog, would be to lay the 7 with KU. Not 100% confident in that, and that can change here in the next little bit of time, but the 7 doesn't scare me either. And then, of course, kind of what you're talking about too, we'll get to the Saturday games here, but kind of the theme that I just talked about with West Virginia, playing UMass, the Minuteman, Frank Martin, is you're going to see that theme where, maybe these aren't Kansas UNC games or Baylor Arkansas games, but you still want to make the Big 12 look good in the net. You still want to, not lose these bye games. You still want to make the Big 12 look strong, because we hear about it year after year. Apparently the Big 12 likes to manipulate this stuff. So don't give them an excuse. Don't give them a reason to do so. And, don't get caught slacking, right? It's kind of that, hey, you just had a game earlier this week. You're going into the weekend. The season's not total, grind it out, heart of the schedule yet. So sometimes we saw it last year with Monmouth beating West Virginia. They got them in that Friday game, and that's what you fear, is they kind of catch you in that sleepy Friday night trap spot.
And I was jabbing at Noah about that the other night, because the Big East, and I love the Big East. The Big East played with their food big time the other night. I said, here's the difference between the Big 12 and Big East. Yeah, you guys bust our chops for playing a couple of these HBCUs and beating them by 100. The Big East, they skated by multiple HBCUs or NEC teams. So when that hurts your neck come March, you look at every game matters. Every data point matters. And all you can do is just beat the shit out of whoever you're going to play next. So, yeah. Rush, real quick, Saturday's games are loaded.
Absolutely.
Houston, Auburn. That where is that game? I think that game's a neutral.
It's in Oh no, Baylor and Arkansas is in Dallas.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Where is that? It is Toyota Center, Houston. It's probably where that's where the Rockets play, right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's
so two NBA arenas being used.
I hate that, man. I wish it was on campus. I wish it was in H-Town, or I guess it is in H-Town. I wish it was at where Houston plays the Fafita Center. And I wish Baylor would get to play in their beautiful new arena from last year. Yeah, they play Arkansas. Those are the two marquee games. K-State's in action. They got Cleveland State. Arizona's got Old Dominion coming to them. And then the only other game is Sunday. Oklahoma State has a tricky one against a really good Tommy's team. But Rush, headline, those two big games. You think the Big 12 takes care of business probably with Houston and Baylor?
And then Arizona State has Gonzaga. So we'll see how that one turns out on Sunday.
So yeah, they do have a Friday, Sunday. You're right. Oh,
yeah. So good luck, Arizona State.
That's a true road game. That's a true road game.
It really is. I think Houston, I'm not worried about Houston. I think Houston handles business against Auburn. I think this is a great opportunity for Baylor to rebound. I mean, what's the best way to get back on track? You beat a Calipari Arkansas team and, you start feeling good about yourself again. And, you get right back on track here. I would definitely strong lean towards Houston and Baylor taking care of business. I will say my biggest concern with the Friday through Sunday games is not Baylor or Houston in these matchups, or even Kansas for that matter, is one of these other Big 12 teams going to get picked off in a bye game. Like I don't know how to explain it. Sometimes your gut kicks in a little bit, and more than happy to be wrong and look like an idiot. Something about that ODU Arizona game seems just a little weird to me.
Elliot's busted your chops because Brian and Sean have put out a hit on all the guys that say lean. So this is an exception.
Well, I'm not charging money for my leans. This is early on a Wednesday when I still have 4 days.
Yeah, there's no lines out yet, so that's why. Yeah, right. Troy's busting your chops too. So yeah, no. When we actually get to the games with spreads, we don't lean, but he's talking about which way he's swaying.
I'm not charging you guys $9.99 for my leans. There's a difference there. There's no lines either. Yeah,
exactly. All right, Rush. Yeah, I can't wait. It's good. Troy's cracking
no
me
excuses, Rush.
I can't.
Troy, I'll see you at the Caps game on Friday.
Yeah. We'll discuss the schedule here for the Big 12 college football picks preview. The big games this weekend, including the Holy War, and of course, Big 12 basketball games. Check the picks page, and I'll see you guys here in about 25 minutes over on the pregame show. Go check out the college basketball experience. Go check out the FCS experience, college football experience, and of course, the Ryan and Rush show with Rush and I breaking down Mountaineer sports. He's at Rambling Rush. I'm at Moneyline_Mac. We are the Big 12 college experience, and we are out of here. See you guys soon.